Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Thursday, April 3rd of 2025. So what are we talking about today? Well, Mark, you brought up a good topic. It's is it feasible to buy used equipment to resell? And to follow up, like we talked there yesterday about keeping a customer's machine when they haven't been back to pay you and what to do with it. So we'll take it to the next step. Stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back. My name is Eric, and if you didn't already know, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Thursday, April 3rd. And today we're going to talk about, let's start off with where we left off yesterday, and that was having a mechanic's lien, having a lien against a piece of equipment, the customer abandoning it, and you're stuck with it. What now? Well, the biggest important thing that I've tried to stress in numerous videos that you can look back on is when it comes to fixing somebody's machine, never put into it any more than it's worth. And you may be scratching your head. Well, it works twofold. The first is you're trying to do right by your customer, right? And that is to treat the machine like it's your own. Don't put any more into that machine than you would if it was your own, right? So that you're on the customer's side where you should be. You're not out to gouge the customer or to take advantage of the customer. You want that customer coming back year to year and have faith and confidence in you, and they'll be your best advertisers as well if you treat them fairly. But the second fold is those dreaded customers that don't come back and pay their bills. And if you've been in this business long enough, you will have some of those customers, inevitably. So that brings us to another point of now what? The customer hasn't paid, the machine's still sitting there, and now what are you going to do? If you got it posted on the wall that after a week, letting that customer know that they need to pay the bill, that it's ready, so much a day after that point. And that pushes the customer to want to get in and get it paid because they don't want that charge. Now, if my customer comes back and says, Eric, I'm going to pay it, I don't get paid till the end of the month, is that all right? A lot of times, to be honest with you, I waive that fee, but it's there for the hard asses. You know, because I have plenty of real estate here that I can park it on, and it's not in my way. But as long as the customer is communicating with me, and I'm not saying blowing me off of calling and saying I'll be in a week and then not showing up, and then it goes 2 weeks, and then I get a call, I'll be in another week. Not like that. That's blowing you off. You have a couple different options. You can either part it out or you can sell it as a used unit. So what do I mean by part it out? I mean if you decided that it wasn't fixable and the customer abandoned it there over a diagnostic fee, you can start taking tires and rims off it, decks, engines, hoods, you name it, depending on what the problem is. If it's got a bad transmission and you got a good transmission sitting up there, a good used one, and it's your time, is it worth more selling it with that transmission in it than it is to take and part it all down to nuts and bolts? It depends. It all depends on your location and what goes on in your area. If you have a lot of guys that do repairs in your area and you got a name for yourself, used parts is the way to go. If you don't, and you end up with a boneyard with a bunch of machines setting up there and all different with issues, and you have a market to sell good used ones, or because when it comes to selling used mowers, now we're going over into the second part, is you have different income levels, okay? And you got the family that can't afford to spend over a couple $100. And a couple $100 nowadays won't even get you a push mower. But it can be a teachable moment. And what do I mean by teachable moment? If a youngster or somebody that's just starting out in lawn care can't afford to step out, pay big money for machines, I have in the past had them show up and take a transmission out of one, put it in another to make a good mower for them to get by on and sell it to them at parts price, junk price. And you got to be careful on that too, as your liability insurance, in case somebody gets hurt while they're on the property. If you have kind of a stiff liability policy with your insurance company, sometimes saying take both and bring back what's left over of the other one. But most of the people that I know are looking for a $400 to $500 rider. And if we can throw one together for under that, we're okay. Here lies the problem with your customer that hasn't paid their bill and now abandoned it. Is it worth the $400 to $500 to sell it? How much do you have in parts and labor into that unit? And if you tell me you've got 6 to 7 in a $500 mower, then I can tell you you're not doing business correctly. But you're going to fall into this scenario if you've been in business very long, is you know it's going to cost more than what a machine like that would sell for. And you get a hold of the customer and you explain that. And they say, go ahead and get it fixed. It has sentimental value or this or that. At that point, A, you better know that it's a good customer and a steady customer and they'll come in and pay their bill. Or B, don't do it. I mean, you're going to want to be able to do that because you're looking at making more money for the shop, but you have to be really, really careful when it comes to this. Is that customer going to show up, pay the bill? And we've had numerous customers that say, Eric, go ahead and do it, and paid the bill. Have we had a few that didn't? Yes. Mostly tractors, because it ends up getting more into the tractor than what the tractor's worth running. After you've been burned a couple times, as Jason puts it, you'll start, it makes it easier on doing this in your head of adding things up. Now, if you didn't have their involvement in it, or you didn't call them and you went above, you're not thinking about the customer. And I know why they abandoned it. Because you went above what the value of the machine was to start with. So that's why I say never put more into a unit than in what it's worth. And you have to do the homework of finding out what are units going for used in your area. You need to know all this stuff. And that could come from watching, Facebook Marketplace to Craigslist to, still paper ads, people trying to peddle stuff. They used to put out a book that would tell you how much it was worth, depending on condition and everything else. If you're going to be in this business, you need to know what that stuff is worth and where the cutoff is. After so many years, does it drop considerably? Because if that customer doesn't come back and you're in over what it's worth, you're screwed. You could take your labor off and still make $1, but you'd have been farther ahead not to have gone that far. That's why I say, know the value of the unit and don't go over the price that it sells for. So that brings us to the second part of, is the mower worth, or what is the mower value? Is there a good used mower market in your area? Do the homework. Find out what stuff is going for. My tendencies, even when buying from customers that I've had over the years, is I go for half what I think is what it's worth retail to try to sell it. And some people will tell you, well, if you go half, you're screwing your customer. No, you're not. Your customer doesn't want to deal with a bunch of people coming, kicking tires, and telling them it's not worth crap. I already know that. I may have to sit on it for a full year. I know that. Because if it doesn't sell, or it's late in the season, it's not going to sell until the following year. And I'll tell you that most of my sales occur right around income tax time. People are getting that check back and it's burning a hole in their pocket, and that's when they buy the stuff that they want. And if they want to upgrade their mower, that's the time they're going to do it. Or if the mower they limped it through last year, usually income tax time is when they're going to be buying good used ones. But it all depends upon your location and the average medium income in your area. The higher paid income people are just going to take and get rid of it and go buy a brand new one and don't care what they get out of it. So you're not going to sell to them unless you've got new units on the yard. I don't like to take a lot of used equipment in. I don't like to tie up a lot of my money that way, because in the end we've had machines that just would not sell, and we end up parting them out for less than what we were trying to sell them as a whole unit. And I've had units that I tried to sell for $500, but I ended up parting it out for $7. It's a juggling act of where you see you can realize the most money. Sorry for my throat. Been trying to stay away from getting sick, but now I'm sick. So you really need to know the market. You need to know what stuff is going for. Not what you think, it's what it is going for. Know that your biggest time to sell is going to be right around tax time. Shortly after, when people start getting their income tax checks back for the low to medium income. Don't be afraid to make an investment if you think you can sell it. If you know you can't sell it, don't appease your customer by buying it anyways. Give them a ballpark of what they should ask for. Put it on Marketplace. Tell them, those places they can put it. But that you really don't have a need or get that many customers looking to buy used machines. Us, we seem to sell the most push mowers and mowers, riding lawnmowers, under $1,000. 500 is a magic number, but under 1,000. If you get up into the the bigger zero turns, yeah, but I know what the going rate is because I check all the time, and I know what parts cost to fix things because I'm doing it all the time, and I know how many hours are going to be involved in fixing something. But late winter, early spring, when we're not that busy, it's not uncommon for us to go up and take a couple machines and make one good one and put it out front. Go up, do another, put it out front. That way, at least it's covering the labor bill, the cost to have employees when things are slow. So I kind of hope that's kind of giving you an idea. Sorry it's not so long this morning, but I'm losing my voice. So on that note, you guys have a great day. Put in the comments how you do it. I'd be curious to know. Enjoy your Thursday.